Holy crap. Welcome to the Invincible podcast. This is a show where friends gather and talk all things Invincible, a comic book created by Robert Kirkman, Corey Walker, and Ryan Ottley. I'm your host, TJ, the sweet one, and joining me, as always, are my co-hosts. It's Ryan.
Hey, TJ, that was a really good sweet one. Like,
Oh,
maybe the
thank
best.
you. Ooh,
You've
I'll
gotten really
take
good
it.
at it.
Oh, I'm becoming a natural. It's Bill.
Oh, hi, everybody. Sorry, that was pretty late.
Yeah, a little bit. And Wyatt Layne.
For audio listeners, Bill was making his shirt talk to you because he got a new Dinosaurus shirt.
And my life is complete now.
So how are we doing? I mean, episode 4.
Doing well.
Jeez.
This is
Ridiculous episode. We're gonna talk all about it.
it's fun because we haven't recorded a breakdown in a long time. We're actually recording this one right before the episode releases, whereas the other ones we recorded well in advance, like a month ago. So this episode is going to be complete, beginning to end. We're recording the whole thing a couple days before Thanksgiving, and we're excited.
Yeah.
Of all the episodes, for us to have a long gap between watching it the first time and then getting to finally sit down and talk about it, this was the most agonizing one we could have done because it was so good and so exciting. Yeah, I have been just like dying to break down the episode and talk about all the little details throughout it.
Oh, yeah.
We got a nice break and got to like come back to it too, which is nice too. So if you want to be a part of the conversation, you can reach out to us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at InvincibleCast. You can follow us on TikTok and Facebook. Hit subscribe on our YouTube. And just a heads up, as always, we got to remind you, in case you're finding us for the first time, we do go very heavily into comic book spoilers, especially in this episode, I would imagine, because we're going to be talking about what's next to come for Invincible based on our knowledge of the comic. So if you haven't read the comic, go read the comic, come back, and then we'll talk about it. Cool.
Yeah.
So in the way of...
and I mean, obviously, www.theinvinciblepodcast.com too.
Oh, of course.
That's right.
Thank you, Bill.
We have a website.
True.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thanks, Bill.
Speaking of YouTube, if you head over to our YouTube, we have a new video up of Wyatt Layne and his lovely wife Nicole, because there is a new Adam Eve an Adam Eve video game out that is exclusive to Steam, that Wyatt and Nicole streamed for us. And it's what is it? The first 2 chapters, is that right, Wyatt?
Yeah, we played through the first 2 chapters. We had initially we were trying to figure out a way for all of us to be on stream, like watching it at the same time, but that's super difficult to make work with our setup and having everybody see the screen and have it captured and have all of us. So we decided to do me playing through it the first time. Actually, Nicole playing through it the first time. We were going to have just both of us on stream. She loves Adam Eve. She loves visual novel style games. So she actually was the one who brought it up as a suggestion. And I talked to Ryan about it a little bit and then set it up, and she started playing it, which is really fun because she loves the show. She's watched all of the show and knows a lot of things about the comic because I just couldn't help it and just told her all the things as I was reading it. But she doesn't know enough of it that she still has some questions about like who people are that are showing up. So that was a lot of fun. I may have committed to doing an impression of Kilcannon and reading his lines and regretted it very quickly after that. But, go watch and tell me how well I did.
The impressions are great. And you guys just have obviously great chemistry, but the balance between you knowing certain things and her really wanting to know, but having just enough knowledge based on the show and everything you've told her in the past and everything, it's just perfect. And I mean, she made Adam Eve earrings for this thing. It's so great.
She did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And there's going to be more to come. So they did the first 2 chapters, and so definitely again hit subscribe on our YouTube page for keep an eye out when the next videos are going to come out. I feel like Nicole is going to join Brittany and Liz in the side Invincible podcasters that people like more than they like us.
Yeah, right.
So
it's very possible.
And we will be doing a full discussion once all 4 of us have played the game, and we're going to talk more about it on an upcoming episode.
Yeah,
indeed. One thing I wanted to talk about, because if you're watching this episode, you're probably I would hope that you have seen episode 4 of Invincible. So there's one thing I wanted to bring up because it's a little tricky for the four of us. We got screeners, so we are recording this before episode 4 drops. So I wanted to bring up the potential that some news got announced that we're not sure about. Do you guys think that episode 4 ends with see you guys in January, February, see you guys in March? Will episode 5 and the return of season 2 be announced at the completion of episode 4, or maybe the next day it gets announced?
I would think that if it happens, it is not attached to the video. It will be announced in a tweet or a post or whatever on Invincible Friday. And if not then not till maybe mid to late December. So it's either the Invincible Friday right after or much later.
Yeah, I agree. Because that's what, when season 1 was airing, and it was around like this time as we're getting close to the end of the season, everyone's like, where's the news about being renewed or being picked up for future seasons? And it was just like a tweet that they put out of Kirkman telling Steven Yeun that they got picked up for 2 and 3. So I think it'll be something similar to that. I don't think it'll be like a little like post credits or like ending screen teaser. It'll be announced via like Twitter.
A big part of the reason why I think is just because I don't think it's easy for them to add something onto a video package. Like once it's made, I think like whatever we got as screeners, like that is the completed thing. I don't think they go in and make changes that often to something like this.
I think that would be an easy thing to do, though.
I think so.
Because they have Nextons that they have, you know what I mean, and
those
like
are always
and stuff like that.
Like the previously ons are always what we've always had too. Like those are attached to the screeners and everything like that. And since there's nothing at the end of episode 4 from what we've seen, I don't think there's going to be something added.
I may disagree. I think I'm going to say that, TJ, I think there would be something at the end, like, you know,
I'd like for there to be
coming soon or coming back in January or February, whatever it is, because the casual watcher of Invincible, which, I mean, it's 3 times the amount, does not follow it on Twitter, doesn't follow us on YouTube, doesn't like follow that kind of news. It just, when it shows up, they watch it. So I feel like they would want to keep the momentum going by having a little tease like that too. And I think that maybe even between then and now, we could get like a Rexplode episode. Like,
just in those couple weeks, they just, you know, they go ahead and just make one of those.
I think it would be cool. I don't know. My overall prediction, I think that it's going to be Friday. There's going to be an Invincible Friday, the day that episode 4 releases, or like technically the day after it releases. But I think there's definitely a possibility that they do it on the tail end of episode 4. And then they could just erase it. Even cooler, and I don't think this is going to happen, if they did like a coming whenever season 2 part 2, and then we get like almost like a little trailer a little bit. So I don't know.
It's kind of,
but
like
I think it's going to be an announcement on Friday.
By now, everybody that has seen episode 4, everybody has seen what we have seen. How good does that feel? Everybody just take a breath.
We could just talk about anything and everything.
So there's nothing we
worry about
can't spoil.
So we can officially say now that there are 2 scenes that we have seen in trailers that we have not seen in the first half of season 2. We've been sitting on that one for a month now. So we know that the Lizard League moment attacking Rex, that's in the first trailer. We have not seen that. And then there's the in that quick teaser trailer video that they put out where Rex says that we're still the best team in the universe or whatever. Haven't seen that either, with him talking to Invincible. So 2 Rex scenes, TJ.
Yeah.
That's from the Rexplode episode that Bill's talking about, that they're just going to
shadow drop that. Yeah. It's 2 hours long too.
That'd be amazing. That would be amazing. Yeah, so we'll see. So let's get into your thoughts on episode 3.
Whoa, already? Oh, can we do emails first? Oh, your thoughts, episode 3.
I think he means your thoughts.
Oh my God,
as in like the listeners.
I'm not talking to you, Ryan. Episode 3.
Are we going back talking to the listeners? What episode are we talking about? What are we allowed to say?
It's been a crazy month, guys. It's been a crazy month.
All right, so I'll start. I have an email From our friend Travis. And I'm old. I know. I gotta put my glasses on. They glare, so I
Isn't
don't wear
Travis
them.
Thetis?
Travis. Hey, Invincible Podcast pals. Travis, aka Thetis here.
There you go.
And what an episode. Though, to be honest, your email section on your previous podcast is just as good, maybe better, than an episode of Invincible. I'll try some. I'll try to be quick, so here's some rapid fire. Alan the Alien getting his own story and title card was amazeballs. Peter Cullen is the man. I did swear out loud when the writing credits popped up for Alan's part, thinking the episode was over. I have no problem with changing Telia into general for the show, but maybe make her ACT like a general.
Like capitalized act.
What is that?
Make her act like a general.
Oh, when it's
Make
all
her
capitals,
act.
I'm thinking it's like
No,
it's like
it was
like a. I thought it was like
I know what you mean.
like a not a general, but
Yeah.
like an ACT.
Like ACT
Yeah, like-
Dwayne
yeah,
here, reporting for
yeah,
duty.
like an ACT, because obviously ACT stands for what, TJ?
I was asking. I thought you might know.
So glad this is on the internet.
Maybe
forever.
make her act like a general. 3 hostiles have arrived near your world, and they are destroying your fellow soldier, friend, lover, and what they will do next. Alert the troops, warn the council, call Thetis to inform him of the situation and ask for orders. I get it. I get that one Viltrumite could conquer a planet and probably kill every soldier and ship you throw at them, but come on, do something. Seance Dog was magically magnificent. I can't wait for the Thraxa throwdown and the Oliver intro. Overall, I enjoyed the episode very much, but I really enjoyed your enjoyment of the episode. Thank you as always, Ryan, Bill, the sweet one, and my prediction partner, Wyatt. Keep up creating, and I'll keep listening. Love, Travis, aka Thetis.
Yeah, I think
I'm gonna forever call it the Thraxa Throwdown from now on.
That's
I
good.
really like how that sounds. It sounds like a Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Like it's the Thraxa Throwdown.
I think Travis says it right there. Like there's nothing she could have done. She saw that there was 3 of them there. That probably would have led, like you say, Travis, to even more death and destruction had she done anything. And especially being shocked. And in that moment, that was like less than a minute. You know, she gets thrown up against the wall. Like she turns around, Alan's there, and like it happens. I think it's all
honestly
pretty
like
quick.
what do you think Thetis could do? Does
In
he
that
have
moment?
like powers? Can he do anything? I don't know.
I think. Yeah, go on. You don't want to talk about spoilers.
No, we're talking. I mean, we spoil the comic.
No, I mean,
don't think
again,
that's
I don't think
something-
anything
People
could have been
don't know
done.
about Thetis. Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree
don't
that
think Thetis would have done anything.
No.
And I agree that it would make sense for somebody who is a general to like start, mobilizing the troops or whatever. I think that would take away from the moment that we got of her watching Alan and him smiling back at her, like we talked about in the last breakdown.
Mhm.
And it does just like, it reinforces that like, if Viltrumites show up, they have no defense.
Yeah.
There is no plan for how to deal with them because they're just outmatched by them, especially if there's 3. So
Yeah, right.
it didn't bother me too much. I can see the logic behind wanting her to do something like that, though.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one here. Hey now, another great episode of the show and the podcast too. Didn't realize you guys jumped in the chat room when you premiered the episodes on YouTube. I caught it this past Friday and it added an extra layer of fun. Also, now that we are at the final episode for a while, can Bill reveal what his favorite episode ever is? How about everyone else? Mine might be season 2, episode 2, because I think it might be the funniest. When's our next Invincible Friday? I'm voting Friday, February 2nd. All the best, Murad. So yeah, on our first ever like announcement video that we have seen the first 4 episodes, Bill, you said that you have a new favorite episode.
Mhm.
Which one is it?
3.
It was 3. Yes.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, it was
Still.
3. So yeah, hands down. Because I mean, we were expecting what happened in episode 4 to happen, right? It was expected, but when that fucking scene happened with Alan getting pulled out and the music and like his smile, the level of emotion that was there that they were able to do. Even Liz, who wasn't actively watching it, she was like, the fucking music right here, like,
Episode
plus
3
Seance Dog, all that stuff.
Episode 3 feels like 2 episodes. It's almost cheating. You've got
Yeah.
all the Alan
Yeah.
stuff, and then you've got the other stuff, which is back on Earth. Shapesmith, some of the funniest moments in the series. I mean, then of
Yeah.
course the ending, everything with Seance Dog showing up and then taking him. It just kept going. So yeah. I'm with you, Bill. What about you guys?
I agree that 3 is like the buffet of Invincible. You get all the different flavors. You get a little bit of everything. Episode 4, the one we're finally getting to talk about now, is without a doubt my favorite of
It's the
Invincible.
main
Like when
course.
we finished 3 and you talked about it being like the best, I was like, yeah, I could see that. I might put maybe like episode 8 of season 1 above it, or even episode 1 of season 1 slightly above it. But I could go either way. As soon as it was 10 minutes into us watching this episode when we were all watching on stream that I unmuted myself and I was like, guys, this is already the best episode of Invincible.
You're not
It's
crazy.
so good.
You're not crazy.
It's so good. I can't wait.
I legit had a hard time not crying during the scene, the mirrored scene with that. Oh my god, dude, it was good. But I like, again, episode 3, it just felt the most Invincible. Like they felt super confident in their storytelling. They weren't afraid to be crazy and different and like go off into space and come back, and the humor and the emotion, and like it had everything in it that when you're reading an Invincible comic, the feeling that you get is the same feeling I got when I watched episode 3.
I agree. It is, and like I said, of it being the buffet, I think it is the buffet where you're getting all those things. Episode 4, I think, is more of like a single dish. It's just a really good dish, like it's delicious.
A lot of food.
I'm sticking with the metaphor. Okay, it's almost dinner time for me. So
for me, I mean, none of you guys aren't wrong. I mean, every episode of Invincible is great. Not disagreeing with anything that you guys said, but I'm still partial to episode 5 of season 1. You had Titan, you had Battle Beast, you had Machine Head.
Not wrong, yeah.
It was a great Rexplode episode. It was a cool Omni-Man episode because you're like, what the fuck is going on? I love episode 5 of season 1. I think that's probably still my favorite.
Nice.
So
that is not at all what I thought. That's a random one, TJ, in my opinion. But
think so. Battle Beast, Titan.
It was the one, I would say, other than the premiere and the finale of season 1, it was the one that got the most attention in season 1. It was the one where people were like, oh my gosh, did you watch this episode? So I get it. And again, I feel like, honestly, you could make a case for any of the episodes, and I would be like, I get why you feel that way.
Yeah.
Like,
all right, Bill or Wyatt?
I can start. I've got one from Chris Wise, and it starts in all caps, breaking news. Hi, Chris Wise here from the Invincible Podcast News. Tonight, our top story concerns the internet celebrity whose pizza debt dwarfs that of any other nation's national debt. Yes, I'm talking about Bill Lake. He says, holy shit, dude, that was the most prepared episode I've ever seen. I mean, F the actual Invincible episode. That was the performance of a lifetime. Even in the later recorded email section, I was impressed. But after the rest of the episode, I'm floored. This is a hard 15 out of 10 on Bill's preparedness. You definitely come a long way from being quiet for like 20 minutes while Ryan and TJ discuss things, all while you're studying the 2 pages that you need to talk about, so that when it comes up, you jump in, take over, and sound like you're prepared. I speak for everyone in the Invincible community when I say we are proud of you. But all jokes aside, this show would not be nearly as good without you, so keep doing your thing. As for the episode, you guys hit just about every nail on the head, so I'll avoid being redundant. I was blown away and was definitely not expecting it to keep going like that on so many occasions. The refreshed script continues to surprise me on how they change things, honestly, based on logic. Of course, Amanda would know how to get into a movie. Of course, Amber would be fine with him leaving, especially after he almost died saving the literal planet and after she just told him to trust himself. I love all of it, and I can't wait for episode 4. Stay awesome, guys, especially you, Bill. Love, Chris. Thanks, Chris.
Wow. I'm gonna try to stay as humble as humanly possible and just try to stay quiet and not excited about that one. But I am gonna rewatch this clip and show everyone I know of
Yeah.
you reading this email.
You did ask for it. You did ask,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. All right.
No?
So I'll read one from. I'm like speechless right now. I'm like shaking. I'm so excited.
You compose yourself. You got to pretend you prepared this email too.
Exactly. Hey crew, can't believe we are here already at the end of the first half. Love being able to see all of the Invincible fans and online groups light up and activate again. It's like a big warm internet hug. Side note, a tweet about Dinosaurus got some good traction. Just saying. This is by Mitch Krasson, by the way. Love all the episodes, but have a question slash only small criticism I have of this whole season so far. What do you think of Omni-Man showing up at the end of episode 3 for how much time we went by for us in real world? From our perspective, we went only one episode not hearing J.K. Simmons' lovely voice. Do you think that was enough time for us to forget about him for a bit? Even so, two things I love so far. Small details like William being a Lady Yaya fan make me smile constantly, especially on rewatch. Second, Sandra goddamn Oh has put on an incredible performance so far. Can't wait to see where they take her plotline. Love you guys tons. Keep it up and ready for the big episode this week. Mitch Krasson. Sandra Oh.
Yeah, man.
She is getting a ton of love. If there is one thing that IGN is saying positive about this season so far, it's Sandra Oh.
Yeah.
Like they love her, and she is absolutely crushing it.
Yeah, 100%.
And what do you guys think? Do you think that Omni-Man's presence was accurate, felt right?
This is something that we talked about a bit before seeing this season, and I would say that I mean, I wanted there to be a huge gap. I wanted it to be 6-7 episodes, end episode 7 with the reveal that he hey Mark, it's been a while, but that's just not realistic. And I think that they did the right thing for what the show is, for the demand for this character, for how much they love this character, for having J.K. Simmons. You got to do it sooner. I think that they made the right call. Of course, I love the tease, the long gap, because then you forget about him and everything like that. But you can't not have a season. You can't have a season without J.K. Simmons and this character with how big he is.
I think that I like that they did it at episode 3 because everybody thought it was going to be episode 4. And when Seance Dog, when he opened up the door and it was Seance Dog, we were all screaming. We watched it together. We were all freaking out. I mean, because none of us expected that. We thought that that's how episode 4 was going to end. So I like that they did it at episode 3. They could have done it on episode 5 or episode 6, but there's so much that still needs to happen. We got to go. And I get it. So I understand why they did episode 3, and I liked it. So
I think it's all relative based on the medium that you're, ingesting this content on. I think a comic can do that where you don't see a character for a long time. I mean, think about it. You're reading a comic once a month. You know what I mean? So if you go 2 issues without seeing a character, you haven't seen that character in 2 months, and it's a huge deal. This is kind of the same thing. Just obviously we're not getting one episode of Invincible a month, but it still felt right. I didn't feel like he was in there too much, and I didn't feel like he wasn't in there enough. I really do feel like they did it well, putting him in episode 1 with that scene, and then not touching him again until the very end of this episode. And I feel like it was right.
Yeah. And I think there's probably, I'm sure it could have been maybe more impactful if it was a longer gap, but I did not at all feel like it was lacking impact when he shows up. So I'm okay with the pacing of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And again, if you think about it, in reading comics, it almost makes more sense because there's a baby involved here, and he's been seeing this person, so he's moved on and fallen in love with this insect creature. So in the comic, it makes more sense because more time has passed, and it's harder to do that in a show, even with the time jump from an episode well, it would be episode 3 where he's like, oh, it's school now from 2 to 3.
What's nice is even though, yes, viewers got to see an alternate version of him in episode 1, viewers haven't seen this version of Nolan in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Real time. So that's pretty cool. So at least they gave us that, TJ.
All right. Next episode or next email comes from Hunter. Hey guys, in the latest episode, Rudy ate a Burger Mart burger. In season 1, the Mahler twins grew him from Burger Mart burgers. Is he a cannibal? That's all. Love the podcast. Keep it up, Hunter.
The best email we've ever got.
That question right there is what makes our podcast so popular and important, because that's the kind of stupid shit we would fucking argue about
I love
forever.
I love it.
Great email.
It would be funny if he
To
bit
the
into
point.
it like it tastes like nothing. It just tastes like just nothing. That would be funny. Oh man.
Yeah, that's good.
Great email.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's a cannibal.
Sure.
It would be funny if he was like, I bit my tongue like when I first started using it to talk, and it kind of tastes like that. That would have been pretty funny.
Yeah. I love it.
See how we're spending a lot of time on this email? That just goes to show that is a quality question right there.
All right, I got the first one, and now we're getting into our doodle section of emails. First one comes up from Luis Cortez. Hi, Invincible Podcast. As promised, I write again with my thoughts and a doodle for episode 203. I loved Alan's backstory and the title card. The narrator delivered his lines with a perfectly campy tone. He nailed the introduction of the failures in the Unopan breeding camp and of baby Alan. I laughed out loud when the Alan the Alien title card dropped. Just as you guys did, I loved every single line Seance Dog said. Again, perfectly campy writing and voice acting. Just as in the comic, it made me wish we actually got the chance to hang out more with Science Dog. Skybound needs to sell an actual Seance Dog poster as merch. I would buy that in a heartbeat. Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Oh my
that's
god,
smart.
the same one? Corey
Make-
Walker, like the same one.
Make
The same
Mark's
thing.
poster identical, same
Yeah.
exact
That's really
thing.
smart.
Sell
I'll
it.
buy the figure that
That's
he had.
awesome.
Yeah, the
You know,
figure.
make everything.
Skybound,
Yeah.
listen to this.
That's easy
It
money.
always gets announced. Ryan, I remember one episode we recorded, it was a merchandise one where you're like, I could really go for an Invincible ugly sweater. And then the next day,
Yeah, I remember
they
that.
announced that they had. Yeah.
You're right. That was funny. For predictions, I expect episode 204 to adapt all 3 climactic battles, the Sequid invasion, the Lizard League mission, and the Viltrumite fight on Thraxa. If so, it will indeed be crazy, just as Kirkman promised at San Diego Comic-Con. Looking forward to this week's
man.
podcast, Luis Cortez. I thought that maybe that would happen too, but
Yeah.
as you know now, that did not happen. We'll talk more about that later when we talk about this episode. And their first doodle is sent to you guys. It's the first image I sent you.
Oh, so good.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
there
great.
yet.
That's perfect. Wow.
That's the first one?
Perfect companion to my doodle from episode 3
Oh
of the
my
Kansas
God.
Right.
Bowl.
I love this.
It's so perfect.
I love it.
It's really good too.
Yep.
The brain actually
cool.
looks edible. Like I would. Now I understand.
No, I understand why Talia was eating that.
Yeah.
I think you just want to share a meal with Talia, you know?
Why, do you have
tell
our
you.
next doodle?
I do. I have an email that has a doodle with it. All right. This is from Jordan. He says, hello, gang. Hope all is well and you're ready to enjoy the holidays. Just want to say that I am enjoying this show so much. It's insane. Season 2 is surpassing Season 1 for me by far, and I know it'll only get better. The way the show is elaborating and improving on characters who were just background people in the comic is just mind-blowing to me. Loved last week's episode, and as a comic reader, the pacing is just so great. Not feeling rushed or dragging either, just right. I do wonder what Thetis is up to by powering down Alan's machine. We all know Alan is too much of an important character to be killed off in the show, so maybe this is a gap to explain how his powers work. Maybe Thetis will tell him A, he powered down the machine to make Alan come back faster or stronger, so his body can tap in and work overtime to come back, and elaborate on that instead of the comic just making it happen. Or B, he powered it down to move him to a place that's more secure, but wanted to fake out the audience. No complaints on my side either way. Just interesting how one little altered action can make a difference when it comes to comparison and discussion. Love the show and keep up the good work. Love always, Jordan. And then he says, P.S. Here's my Invincidoodle.
So this would be the
And this
second.
second
I'm
one?
sorry. Wait.
Second one.
Actually, it is. Let me check. Yeah, it is the second one. I
Okay.
sent you.
Awesome.
I almost drew that.
Wow.
That was what.
Which is very similar to your
It's what
doodle,
you-
right?
yeah.
That's what
Ryan?
I drew.
Yeah, the eyeball.
Yeah,
Yep.
Very cool.
Wow.
nice.
Look at
So
you
good.
guys. With the cheatery included, the red.
Oh,
We'll
allowed.
accept it.
It's allowed.
All right, so I have the last one. Give me one moment here to pull this up.
Oh,
All right, so this is
he did ask, about
Thetis shutting
Alan.
Alan's machine off.
Yeah.
And I think that
100%.
he is.
It's 100% to kickstart his.
We didn't
his
talk about
power.
it last episode.
Yeah.
So my first
didn't.
thought
Did it?
was
I think
no,
we did.
no.
I thought we did.
We listened back to it when we were in the chat on the YouTube premiere. We just say, and he goes in and shuts it off, and then credits, and then we were talking about how it ended the episode. We didn't talk about why Thetis did it.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
initial thoughts, guys. Why did Thetis do it?
I could have sworn we
100%.
said that it was because it makes him stronger.
I think we probably talked about that while we were watching it.
I think that's what it was. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be it.
But does Thetis know that? Does he know that he has to kill him? Is that a thing? That was my initial thought too. But I've heard a couple people, including Mara over on Twitter, say that maybe it's to help discover the mole. Everybody thinks Alan is dead, and add another
Hmm.
I could see
I
that.
did like that. I did see that. I don't know. Now I don't know, TJ, because he doesn't know.
why would he think that?
Right?
Is it that he gets close to death and whatever doesn't kill him makes him stronger, or is whatever kills him makes him stronger and he has to die? And why would he know? That's something that Jordan was saying, comic readers don't know, and that was a cool twist. We were like, what?
Yeah.
What? This is new.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
interested to see where that goes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have one here from Scotty. Hey, Invincible crew. Great episode as always. I love the breakdown of season 2, episode 3, and the implications for the rest of the season. I enjoyed the changing dynamics of the Guardians roster and everyone knowing something is off with Shapesmith. I liked Mark's encounter with Seance Dog, leading to his reunion with Omni-Man, of course. I loved having Optimus Prime as Thetis, and now when I read Thetis in the comics, I hear Peter Cullen's voice. I liked having Thula and Lucan maim Alan instead of 3 generic Viltrumites doing it, and even having Thula use her bladed hair against Alan. I definitely don't think we've seen the last of Alan, and Thetis may have faked taking Alan off of life support to protect him, to your point, or to the last reader's point. Anyway, I found some Invincible doodles I made 12 years ago in the 8th grade before I read the comic, and my only exposure to Invincible was reading Comic Vine entries for the characters. I drew Invincible, Omni-Man, Grand Regent Thrag, Doc Seismic, a Viltrumite, and both Darkwings. I thought you might enjoy them. Sincerely, Scotty. Is this real life?
This is real. That's the third image I sent you.
That's amazing.
I'm looking at it
That's
now.
so
This is
good.
awesome. The 2 Darkwings,
Yeah.
Doc Seismic. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
What?
awesome. That's
Yeah,
super
but is
cool.
this something that he really did? And yeah, it has to be because it looks like a child.
Oh
did
yeah.
it.
Saying that he did it off of the Comic Vine entries and everything like that. Before
Yeah.
even reading the comic, you're just so into these characters. You're reading Comic Vine entries and drawing them. That's cool.
That's amazing.
I think Doc Seismic might be my favorite.
Yes, I agree. I was going to say
Because
that.
It is
Yeah.
great.
it's so
This is
weird
great.
that it looks like Doc
It's
Seismic,
perfect.
even though
You
it's
got the
yeah.
Yeah. It's a testament to Corey Walker's designs, that you just need the simplest parts of it and you're like, that's them.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
So thank you all for sending in
Yeah.
your emails and your doodles.
And again, if you want to send in your emails and doodles for episode 4, be sure to reach out to us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com.
The current plan is to be doing an episode where it'll be a little bit more of a season 2 part 1 wrap up. We're going to go over your emails, maybe have some more fun stuff planned for that episode. But that episode
Some
should
really
be going
fun
live
stuff.
shortly.
There's a little tease, a little hint.
don't even know what it
Shall
is.
we How do you not know? You're a part of the podcast.
No.
Are we ready
I'm
to dig
ready.
into the
Been ready for
finale
like a month.
of season 2, part 1? All right, episode 4.
Go.
Let's dig in. It opens up right off the bat. It opens up where we left off at the end of season 1 with Omni-Man. Omni-Man is standing over Mark's broken body. He starts tearing up and he flies up into space. Man.
And like hearing the breathing immediately, it was like something's
Yeah.
different. Like you didn't have the music. Like you're
Yeah.
hearing Nolan's side of it.
You're hearing it from his perspective now.
Yeah.
And you're going to,
Mhm.
and then we continue on through his perspective. Nick Cave and the Seeds song Avalanche starts playing, and we get, I think, is it even arguable that this is the greatest music montage that we've gotten in all of Invincible?
Sorry, Wyatt.
I think this
Sorry.
and Radiohead are tied for me still. I know
man.
that that's just that I'm also a huge Radiohead fan, and I love that sequence of Mark flying around the whole
Yeah.
city. But yeah, you're not wrong that this is like I was emotional immediately 15 seconds into the episode.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's so good.
The song
So-
Avalanche starts playing. Go ahead, Bill.
No, I was just gonna say, so it is the song Avalanche by that guy in that band.
Nick Cave
but
and
it's
the Seeds.
actually, yeah, but it's not them performing it. It's a remake of the song that was done for the show Black Sails.
Mm.
Because I went and I bought the album. I'm like, why can't I find
Oh,
this
really?
song? And it wasn't, yeah. And then I was like, this does not sound right. So then I
Interesting.
did a little bit more research, and it's
Yeah, I noticed it was.
I think
it was
it's Nick
harder to
Cave and the
find.
Seeds, though.
It was
Mm-mm.
hard to find.
Maybe the original song was by somebody else in Nick Cave and the Seeds, because I also downloaded it, and it is absolutely it.
Yeah,
Really?
Bill, it's not on an album. It is Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. It is a single like that was released that is a little bit harder. It's not on any of their albums, but on Spotify it is just a single.
Hmm.
And maybe that's why it's just released as a single, because it was made for that show or whatever.
So
But anyways,
Uh,
like the moment like he's flying and then his hands lower and it's revealed that he has a full beard, and it's like that moment of
time
oh,
has
he
passed.
didn't stop. He just kept going.
So we
So-
get an incredible montage of Omni-Man flying. He's aging. He's sitting on the moon and he's just contemplating. He's staring up. It was so good. He's flying and traveling by different planets and galaxies. You see that he's in pain. Tears are in his eyes. Then it shows him floating right in front of a black hole. Wow, there you go, black hole. He's standing there, the music's going, it's so emotional, and then he just slowly allows the black hole to take him, and he starts floating towards the black hole. As he's allowing the black hole to take him, he notices in the distance an alien ship that's in distress as it's being taken. He saves the ship and the aliens that are inside. Omni-Man flies them back to their planet, and the aliens start asking him questions about who he is and where he came from.
So a couple things real quick. First off, I realized we didn't do quick impressions of of the episode, which is fine. We're going to talk about it as we go here. The moment of him standing there in front of the black hole, the second he you see him let go and his the animation, his body just kind of go limp as it starts to pull him in. That image is an image that is going to be ingrained in my brain forever. That more than anything that has happened in 2 seasons, that image right there is haunting. It's
what I love
because
about it is
he can stop himself.
yeah,
he's-
is the subtlety or the it's so subtle. Like if you blink long enough, you can miss this amazing animation. I can't believe the animators were reserved enough to not make it, so
More dramatic.
obvious. It was just
Yeah.
you could just see him relax enough, like Ryan, what you said, to just slowly float
be
towards it. It was
taken,
go
perfect.
limp.
Yeah.
It was
And
perfect.
Yeah.
and he would have had something not got his attention. And a great thing that you can catch on multiple viewings is you see Andressa as a child on that ship. She has the same outfit. She has the same red gemstone thing on her chest and down the gold rings on her antenna, and they keep that character design for when she's older. She has the same like outfit style. So she's obviously much younger, and it cuts to her multiple times. Like even when they're back on the planet, it's her looking at him like really enthralled by him. And I was like, oh, come on. Like that was cool.
Yeah, she says that he saved her life,
which is what made me go back and
upon the second rewatch, I was like, so she was on the ship, and I'm like, oh yeah, there she is, obviously.
Right? Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yep. So then we cut to present day where we left off on the previous episode. Mark and Nolan are face to face. Mark is clearly pissed off. He starts walking toward Nolan and he clenches his fist, and you can see Nolan like, all right, we're about to fight. And he almost like prepares for it. And then Mark gives him a big hug.
And this scene, the adaptation of this scene, I should say, is, I feel like, such a perfect representation of what the show does so well. Because reading this scene in the comic, it feels very cinematic in the comic, where it shows like the close up on them. It shows both of their hands. It shows them make the fist. And then the next page is them hugging. And it feels like, I remember reading it being like, oh, I could see this, in live action or in animated form. And the fact that you get all of that, and you get them making the fist, and are they going to fight? But then you also get Mark like punking Omni-Man, and he like lunges forward.
Yeah.
I like gasped watching it, where even though I still got everything that I wanted to get from it, they still gave me just a little bit more that I was surprised by, that I loved, that was so like shocking. So perfect.
And that's something you can't do in a comic. Like having somebody do that motion, it that's harder to portray. So having like that added thing, yeah, it's cool.
I thought that the episode before was going to end with the clenched fist and them like grimacing at each other and about to fight, and then this episode would open up with the hug. I'm kind of glad that they didn't separate it though, but I think it worked out. It was great. So Mark asks Nolan about the Flaxons, like, why am I here? Like, don't the Flaxons need my help?
Nolan, the Thraxons.
What did I say?
Not you said Flaxons.
Oh shit, Thraxons. Need like they Flaxons and Thraxons. Oh shit, we never even noticed that, did we?
What?
Yeah. So the Thraxons, he asks about them. Nolan says, no, they do need your help. I need your help. Mark gets really pissed off and he starts like yelling at him. And oh my God, like Stephen Yeun in this whole scene. And honestly, this whole episode was so good. Mark gets angry, asks Nolan, why do you think I would ever want to even see you again? What makes you think I would want to help? They argue about everything that Omni-Man did. Mark said that he should apologize, but even then it wouldn't make a difference because of everything that he had done. Mark says, fuck you, and flies off.
So like
fucking awesome, dude. Shit.
One thing that
the amount of times he says that to him too,
there's so many
just such a perfect like
in this episode across the board.
Each one of them are very meaningful.
They're all
how
good
they're delivered.
So like I was talking to somebody who had read the comics and everything, and they were excited for this upcoming episode, and they're like, I just hope Mark doesn't get over it so easily like he does in the comics, because that was a issue they had in the comic, where it's just like Mark is just bawling and he's like, please come home, and is more more forgiving. And
if I may, I think that may have to do with the fact that in the comics it was a lot more time that went by, so with time comes healing, and you kind of forget all that shit and you just miss the person so much. The fight
was a little less brutal in the comic. Not to say that that didn't still have a big impact, but like all those things and things that we talked about at the end of season 1, it's like, how do they redeem this guy? How do they even get close? And starting the episode with this really sympathetic tone, and then backing it up by not only Mark being like, fuck you, but Debbie also like being like, in her state, they're not letting this go easily, which is like, thank you.
Nolan even says, like, he's like, Mark, listen, I made a mistake. And Mark is like, a mistake?
Yeah.
You killed how many people? And Nolan's like, what do you want me to say? And he's like, you could have started by apologizing. And then Mark says, fuck you. He flies up to leave. Nolan follows after him, and he tells Mark, listen, you can't go home. You're millions of miles away. You don't know the way. Stay and help the Thraxans. They'll build you a ship and they'll navigate you home. Nolan reiterated that the Thraxans need his help, and Mark agrees to give Nolan 5 minutes to explain. And he even reiterates, he's like, I'll give you 5 minutes for them, not for you.
Yeah. If you go back and you listen to Stephen Young and Invincible have the argument with Nolan before the big fight when he was like, I don't care if I live a fucking million years. Like, if you just listen to that discussion and then this one, Stephen Young did something to his voice. Like, he literally sounds more juvenile and like really off the hook. Like, he just doesn't like know how to control his emotions. And with this fight, Mark is just so confident with like how he feels and what he's telling Nolan. I love how much the character has changed.
It gives the feeling that like, and if you're Mark, he's had this conversation in his head a bunch of times too.
Exactly.
Of like, if I see him again, I'm gonna say fuck you. Like, this is all that rage that he's been feeling for however long it's been for him at this point.
He's not
getting an opportunity to actually say it to his face is so it's so good.
In season 1, episode 8, he was shocked. Like, this was all like happening to him and he's struggling to process.
Panic.
He's processed this for months and months. So like you're saying, this is everything he's been thinking. So yeah, he and Stephen Young absolutely did deliver.
Yeah, so he tells them, I'll give you 5 minutes. They're heading to Nolan's home, and on the way, as they're flying, Mark's like, oh, so you conquered this planet. Oh, good for you. And then Nolan says, no, I didn't conquer this planet. They took me on. They asked me to be their champion. So they go to Nolan's home. Nolan tells Mark that he didn't conquer Thraxa. They asked him to be their champion. Then Nolan starts like deep tonguing this alien.
Can't believe he put this in.
Brutal. Like
shot for shot too.
Mark
in the background, the tongue's like right here, just going at it.
Like hardcore.
It's one of
I know it was a moment where I was like, I love a good like straight from panel to screen adaptation. Didn't think I was gonna get that one, but here we are. Okay.
But it really nails down the alien of this. Like, this is so alien to Mark.
Yeah. Even in this scene, like Mark says, I think a couple times, like, what the fuck is going on?
That's what I mean. They
like,
had to ratchet up.
Yeah. So we find out that she is Andressa. Mark freaks out saying, how could you do this? You're married to Mom. Nolan says, like, I can never go back to Earth. Like that life is gone from me. He says, like, Andressa basically was not what he wanted to show Mark. Turns around and we get our first look at who we know as Oliver. Baby Oliver. Mark screams. He goes, you gotta be. And then we get the Invincible title card. And then it cuts. Fucking kidding me.
Perfect.
Dude,
so good.
Way to mess with expectations and throw it in there in like one of the most shocking, for anyone that doesn't know the comics, this is like you're Mark in this situation. And so to throw the title card at people when they least expect it at this peak moment, when they're not prepared to hear the word Invincible, like completely throws the expectations out the window. And like, we've done it. We've broken the mold. They don't need to say Invincible anymore to do it. And what a way to introduce that.
Yeah.
And even the fact that like it comes back the split second right afterwards adds to the randomness of it as well.
Yeah.
Like, it was,
and then
it was
immediately
great.
cuts after that. It's just finish that sentence. Yeah.
Then
I love this show. Like the fact that it uses, I'm sorry, but the fact that it uses its title card in a fun way to like add to the story. It's not just like credits and like the title card. It's fucking like, I don't want to just like, graze over it like it's nothing. We appreciate the time and effort that what if we put it here?
Yeah.
What if we put it here? What if we do this? Love
Yeah.
it. Great job.
It
Keep it going.
adds to the personality of the show because it's not a thing that other shows really do. So it's a thing
Mhm.
that like it feels like a special treat
Yeah.
when we get that because like we
Yeah.
know we're getting the story and we know there's going to be some changes, but like to get that as a sort of like fun gag that is also teasing things to come later on is so
Yeah.
cool.
Well, and they use it. They use it in different ways too. They can like in this, they use it as like an exclamation point on certain moments. They use it as a
Mhm.
comedic moment, and other points they can use it any different way, and they use it so well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Sometimes you're waiting for it to happen in the show. You're like, when's it gonna come? Like the fact that just that something as simple as a title card can create anticipation, laughter, excitement, like that's fucking cool. And I think that's one of the things that Kirkman told us or told everybody is that like Invincible played with tropes of comic books, and it's gonna do the same thing with like TV shows, and we're seeing it happen, and it's fun. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
then we get our next absolute fucking gut punch, and this is such a genius scene. Olympus by Blondshell starts playing, and we get a montage of Debbie. We cut to Earth, and we get Debbie, a montage of Debbie that completely mirrors Omni-Man's montage. Her going on long walks, walking through
Barefoot.
parks, playgrounds. What's that?
Barefoot.
Barefoot.
This is the night after she walks down the middle of the street after talking to David Diggs' character, and getting turned away from literally a support group.
Right.
She has nothing. Everyone is
Yeah.
gone. Like it's
So
And like you said, TJ, of it mirroring the Omni-Man scene, like she is in the same spot when she's walking horizontally across the
Yep.
screen as where he's flying. She's in the same
Mhm.
spot in the frame. And then once she eventually gets to where she's on the highway overpass looking, it's framed the exact same way as Omni-Man looking at the black hole, where it's a wide shot behind her. It goes a little closer behind her, and then it does a close-up on the face. And it's exactly the same. Like I had them open in two
Did you?
windows to see if they like
Oh.
line up perfectly, and the whole thing doesn't line up perfectly, but the last shot, the way that it cuts and the way it's framed
Yeah.
is exactly the same between both scenes, and that's so cool.
When
Yeah.
when we were watching it, like and we were like, oh my god, it's mirrored. It's the same thing that Nolan did.
it's
When she was
just to say what it is before you talk about it. It's her also contemplating like kind of suicide. Like it's alluding to
Yeah.
the fact that she's debating jumping off of the highway overpass.
That scene, like I don't know what I was expecting. Like, oh, I like obviously because he's contemplating suicide in front of a black hole. It's like, oh, what is she gonna do? And then like I kind of got lost in it. So when I saw it, it was like the saddest moment. Like it's almost hard to watch.
Yeah,
if you've
and getting a little ahead of the conversation here, where we'll get to later with art, is that like Omni-Man is this all-powerful being that can just be in front of this black hole and choose to go away. She is not. She had to do it on her own, like will. Like she didn't get distracted. I mean, we don't know what happens. We don't know what led to this bridge. We don't know what happened after it. But she didn't. She didn't do anything. She moved on. And like that whole idea of strength and everything like that. And there's a lot there. That's yeah.
So it cuts. So this part, we talk about Sandra Oh all the time, and she's been incredible ever since the first episode, season 1. This scene was where I was like, holy shit, dude. Like she really is incredible. Like it's unreal. Like it cuts to her talking to Nolan's gravestone, and she's talking basically to Nolan, asking like, why not just take over the world and leave me out of it? Why marry me? She kept saying over and over, why bother marrying me?
Why me?
20 years and none of it was real. Only Mark was real. I never knew you at all. I never even fucking knew you. So good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worth pointing out too that like all of this for Debbie happens off screen in the comic. We don't really get this in the comic of seeing really Debbie go through this. We talked about how like her breaking the cabinet door was kind of a parallel to the scene from the comic where Mark finds her and she's like clearly having a hard time, but getting to spend more time with her and getting to like hear her think out loud and process this does such a good job of like making us connect with her as a character more than I did in the comic, at least. And in the same way that like there are certain moments from the comic that made me want to like call my dad. This made me want to call my mom and just be like, oh, like it's so emotional. It adds so much, I feel like, to her character, and highlights the humans that are living in this world too, and not just the superheroes.
That's the thing that got me, is that like Nolan is 1,000, 2,000 years old, right? So 20 years is like a day to him, not even, you know what I mean? But it is her entire life. Like it's the best years of her life, and he stole them from her. They were fake. Like
Which is
to have that robbed from her, like it, Wyatt, like, yeah, you wanted to call your mom. Like, I wanted to reach out to somebody who like had their whole life ruined by somebody, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
felt like their life was wasted. Like we have one life, one small little blip on this planet, and she's sitting here asking, "Why did you ruin mine? Like why?"
which is really interesting that
Oh,
they're showing this and making you sympathize her with like so heavily in the same episode they're trying to make you sympathize with Omni-Man. And
that's a good
does
show.
that succeed? And you know what I mean? And can you imagine that task? Like, here you go, sympathize for both these characters at their absolute lowest when one is clearly the victim. Like
I'm pretty sure
that's a
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there are people that never forgave Nolan.
Yeah.
I think Liz being one of them.
Oh, I know.
Like she's like, I don't
Yeah.
give a fuck what happens to him. Even
Yeah.
still, she hates him.
Yeah.
So
I think that almost feels like their way of saying, listen, we are going to show you what Nolan's going through. We're going to show you that he's questioning what he's been doing. We're going to show you that he's having a change of heart. We're also going to show you why that doesn't make it okay. And that doesn't mean
Right.
that he should be forgiven for everything, because these are complicated and it's not a good guy and a villain, or, you know what I mean? Like, I love that.
Invincible
I love
has
that
always
they're
been about the
allowing it to
gray.
be complicated.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
can you move on? Can you move on and forgive somebody without really forgiving them? Right? Like, because he did something that was unforgivable. You can't just ignore it. But can you get past that? Ryan, I don't know, man. You said something last episode that I talked to you a little bit about it, and like
I mean, yeah, the future of if Debbie ever sees Nolan again, you know what I mean? Like this, look at what they did with Mark and Nolan in
Mhm.
this episode and how it changed from the comic. We're in for something, and I think they know that. Look at what they did. They put it right in front of us, shot for shot, like the parallels between these two characters and how, yeah. But we're gonna
How
go
can
on
this
forever.
not be
We
the
should
best
go.
episode, guys? Come on.
Wyatt, I was gonna say like 15 minutes ago, like upon
Again.
talking about it.
Again, it's not the buffet. We're not getting Seance Dog in this episode, but man, it's so
Yeah.
good.
I think it was one of the smartest episodes, just in terms of like, I mean, just what we're talking about here, the mirroring, and yeah. Then we cut to the Maulers. There was one Mauler that remained, and then we cut to two of them that are sitting on beds. One of them is cloning the other, and one of the Maulers sits up and turns to the other one. He looks at the other and he says, "Welcome to the living, clone." The other sits up and says, "Not this time. You have all the scarring on the right hand side."
His right
Yep,
side.
the right hand side. Uh, he's the clone that remained from last time, and now they can tell the difference between the two of them. They know which one is the original, and as the original says, we now know who is the inferior.
So I have to say this now because I don't know when else. The reason why, Wyatt, I like the previous episode 3 a little bit more than this felt like episode 8 of season 1, but also a little bit of like, I don't know, episode 2 of season 2. Things like the Maulers and, you know, some of the Adam Eve stuff and everything like that. And even some of the Donald stuff. Like, unfortunately, this ended up having to be a mid-season finale or whatever, the end of part 1.
Yeah.
And some of it feels like that and some of it doesn't. But that's not the episode's fault. That's not their fault. They wrote this episode.
Yeah.
They created this episode, assuming that a week later we'd get episode 5 and it would follow up. This isn't meant to be a finale, but it's being kind of touted now and like thought about as a finale in the sorts. And I think that
Sure.
some of the parts of this episode feel like that, and some of it doesn't.
Yeah. I agree that the B plots or the other ones, when we're cutting away from Debbie and or Mark and Nolan, aren't quite as exciting or quite as like thrilling
Yeah.
as even the stuff in episode 3 doesn't really feel like it has a weak link necessarily.
Yeah.
Like the other stuff we get in episode 3, it is maybe like more consistently
Yeah.
like at a 10 the whole
Mhm.
time.
But
I think it's just the good stuff in this
and
episode outweighs it so much for me
and
that I can't
you're
even.
not wrong, and because
Yeah.
the highs are so high, but it
Exactly,
does
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like there's a little bit of a roller coaster going in this
I
episode.
agree.
And all those I love all the Mueller stuff. I love everything that we're getting, but it's just as a whole thing, like episode 8, like it is just that. It is just the two of them, and everything is about those two.
Yeah.
Whereas this one almost felt like it could have been that, but it didn't need to be because it's only episode 4 out of 8 episode season. And this won't matter after episode 5 comes out because then it will always just be episode 4 out of 8. So it's
So
just
Ryan,
it's a weird.
you're saying that I mean your favorite episode is also not a finale. It's not like
Yeah.
a big episode. So I mean, I think it's the same. Like I don't think Wyatt likes it because it feels like a finale.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, because that's just the added reminder of like, hey, this one's a big deal. And it's like, no, it would have been just as big a deal if we had an episode a week later. But I think that's just an added thing on top of the fact that it's like it feels a little bit up and down this episode. Whereas
If you feel like you can pull your phone out and like check text messages that you got during the Mauler scene, does the Mauler
Yeah.
scene really
I mean,
match?
there
or
were
like
there were
even
things in
Amber and all
episode 3
hanging out
though. 3
outside the
I don't
college
think
campus.
I don't think
Yeah.
3 was like peak the entire way through. You had like the stuff with the Guardians,
Yeah, it
and you
was.
had like
I
a
think it
funny
was.
moment with
It
the
was
Guardian.
peak.
Huh?
I think it was. It was. I think it like Wyatt was
I-
saying
I-
it was
It had like a
the
funny
same level
moment
the whole way.
with Shapesmith, but other than that, like I think the Guardians was the lull of episode 3. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like peak the whole time. I don't know. I think
And
every
honestly,
And
episode
it's all
has their
opinion
lulls.
anyways, and it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think every episode has their lulls. So I can understand why
But-
this is
But again,
Wyatt's
the
favorite.
highs in this one, like Wyatt's saying, are so high. The
Yeah.
lulls feel a little bit more noticeable. And again, they're not bad. I'm just pointing it out.
You're gonna get a lot of angry emails, Ryan. I'm just saying.
No.
We love the Maulers. How dare you?
King
The
Mauler,
characters.
Donald. Donald shows up at the Grayson home looking for Debbie, who's not home. He turns around and he sees all the rubble across the street. He goes to the rubble where we know that he died last season. He bends down, kneels down into the rubble, and he finds his glasses.
I just have to say really quick, one of the most proudest moments was when Riker was watching this with me, and he was across the street looking at the rubble, and he started walking over, and Riker was like, "Oh, he's gonna find his glasses, isn't he?" And then
Really?
he pulls it up. He's like, "Oh my
That's
god, yeah,
awesome.
dude, it was so great." I was like, "Oh man, I love this kid."
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Bill's like, one day you will replace me on the podcast, Riker.
and be equally as unprepared.
Then we get a quick scene at college. Amber and William are walking, and Eve shows up looking for Mark. They explain that he went off planet a week ago. Amber says that they should have brunch together the next day. And, we know that Eve was looking a little distressed, like she really wanted to talk to Mark about everything that had happened to her previously with her parents leaving the house and everything. So we're back on Thraxa. Mark is telling Nolan that the timeline of Oliver doesn't match up from when he left Earth. Nolan says that the Thraxans age slower. Nolan explains how he found
Faster.
faster. Thank you. Nolan explains how he found the Thraxans, how he felt the need to help them. He explains that the Viltrumites now know that he left his post on Earth, and when they track him down, they'll see Oliver as an inferior, and they'll kill him. He needs Mark. He needs Mark's help to stop them. He says, like, what I did on Earth is unforgivable, but if you don't help me save them, everyone on this planet will die. Again, Stephen Yeun, like this whole scene, he talks about, Nolan says, Oliver, like he's your brother, and Mark goes, you don't get to put that on me. And just how he delivers that line is just so good.
More F-bombs that are just like perfectly
he's like,
delivered.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Just fuck you. like
Yeah.
telling him, oh, so good.
I love that because that's like, it's like Mark hearing all of this and he knows logically, oh, it's the right thing to do to help these
He
people
hates it.
not die. But
Mhm.
also, you're evil and you're terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm not like, no, like there's no words to explain that. It's just fuck you.
I-
Like
Yeah.
He's just
it's so good.
and his tone is like he's fed up, and he's just he can't believe how little he knows his father.
Yeah.
He like his father went from killing a lot of humans and knocking his teeth out to then having a son, and he's just like, how much more can you disappoint me?
Yeah.
Hi,
I
love
even
you
like
very much.
the way he delivers, like, I'm thinking, you know what I mean? Like he's like
He
struggling.
says like, how would we even go about doing this? And Nolan's like, listen, I'll train you. Like we can do this together. Like, let me train you. And then Mark's like stop. Like, I'm thinking. And then we hear, boom, we are crashing in the distance. Viltrumites have arrived on the planet. Nolan tells Mark to
man.
take Andressa and Oliver to safety. And then we cut to the Guardian base, the old Guardian base where Eve is staying.
It's really cool that she like crashes there.
Yeah.
It is, but to your point, Ryan, I'm just like, wait, we're leaving what we just saw to see Eve like
But it's
sleeping
all good.
alone in a dark room. It is good.
Kill
It
cannon,
is good,
man.
but
Yeah, we cut to the Guardian base where Eve is staying. Kill Cannon arrives to steal Robot's tech. He tries to steal a glowing orb. Let's talk about it. What do you guys think that is?
I think it's a MacGuffin to get him in the
Mhm.
tower and to move the story
I
along with
agree.
Eve. I think it means nothing.
Nothing. We never see
Yeah,
it again.
I agree.
I agree.
Just a
Yeah.
random
I
glowing
think it's
orb.
I think it's just robot tech that he knows will
Yeah.
power up his laser
Yeah.
somehow.
Okay.
I like that she even says, "Put Robot's stuff back" or something like that. Put Robot's thing back. Just
Yeah.
leave
Mhm.
that thing alone.
I think if it ever comes back, it's gonna be like, oh, my cannon's so much more powerful than it was because of that orb, and then like
I mean,
his arm
he
just gets
puts
like
it
ripped
in
off.
in
Like,
the
it's-
slot, and then his laser turns blue. Like, I think it just powers him
Yeah.
up. He just used it.
Mhm.
Yeah. I just feel like it's a little random. Like, how did he power up his cannon before? Did he always steal Robot's tech? Like, I don't think so. I don't know.
Again, that's that kill cannon lore that we love.
Yeah.
That I would love.
Need
to
more.
Give me a kill cannon episode.
more.
I'll do it.
Is Rudy a cannibal?
Anytime
This is the kind of shit
one of
we're
those
gonna spend too
conversations
much
comes
time
up, is Rudy a cannibal? Like,
Is Rudy a cannibal?
So Eve tells him to put it back. Obviously, he doesn't, and they prepare to fight. Cuts back to Thraxa.
cool
Mark
badass
takes-
line too. Like, just her, being like, "You picked a bad night." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To rob this place, and Kilkenny just being like, "Oh, they left you here too," and just like, I love the fact that he's just this shitty arch nemesis that she just hates, and he's just a cockroach that keeps showing up. She's got to put him away again, and it's great. And she's just so fed up
Yeah.
that it makes for a good antagonist in the moment.
Yeah.
Mark takes Andressa and Oliver to safety. They talk about Thrax and biology. I love this conversation. This conversation was so good. They talk about how Thraxan biology is different than human, how they age faster. 1 Earth year is typical to a Thraxan lifespan. But because Oliver is half Viltrumite, his aging will eventually start to slow down. Then Andressa starts to talk about how she didn't mean to take the place of his mother. She talks about how broken Nolan was when she met him because of everything that had happened on Earth. Andressa says that she knows that Nolan loves and misses Mark because he told her so. And then right there, we get a crash through the cave.
And Rhea Seahorn, by the way, like Better Call Saul, like she did a really great job as Andressa.
Yeah.
I thought she was really
Yeah.
good. I mean, like the like Better Call Feet, or not Better Call Feet, Head Over Feet. You know what I mean? Line.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I thought
I
reels.
I love when writers can make you kind of understand that you can't understand this alien's perspective or biology with simple lines like I couldn't help falling in love with them. We love everything happens in our life cycle so fast that we don't really have time to Like,
even just the way
contemplate
she
how we're feeling. Like, we feel this way, and
That's
that I love him. Like, regardless of what he did,
even just the
and
way
that's
she
not.
phrases that when she says like we do things faster than humans, we learn faster, we love faster, like
Yeah,
it very quickly explains like why that makes sense. This absurd bug alien with a purple baby, you immediately
yeah,
are like, oh, I get it, okay, let's
yeah.
move on. Like, it's
Yeah,
so
it's
good.
not just their biology. It's not just them moving quick. It's
Yeah.
it's how they feel, their emotions, their entire. They have to be quick
yeah.
if they want to
Yeah.
survive.
Yeah.
Loved it. It was great.
A Viltrumite shows up that we know as Lucan. He tells Mark to basically join them or die. Mark obviously refuses, and they start to fight. Lucan beats the shit out of Mark.
The
The
finger.
finger.
The
Dude,
finger,
just holding his head down with his index
Are
finger.
you sure you're Nolan's son, or are you an insect like these
Ugh.
people? And it's just squishing him under his finger. It's
Ugh.
so good.
Oh my god.
He finds Oliver, and he's like talking about like Lucan says like, oh, he made one with these disgusting creatures, like gross, like so good. So they fight while Mark continuously saves Andressa and Oliver from the collapsing cave. Lucan talks about how Omni-Man is a disgrace and deserves death. Omni-Man shows up to save Mark, and Lucan tells him like, you're a disgrace, you deserve death, and Nolan says, I know, which I thought was cool. And then Omni-Man like Viltrumite punches Lucan's guts out.
He like slices his.
He does
and
a
his guts
slice.
go out.
Slices.
And
And
then
then he
he-
grabs like a stalactite and goes
Yeah.
and rams it through.
Or was it a
his gut.
stalagmite? Which one
knows?
is from the ceiling?
I don't. Did he grab it
I
from
think
the ceiling?
tight
I don't
have to
remember.
hold on tight, so they're on the ceiling, and might
Stalactite.
Now that sounds right. That sounds
Rudy
right.
might.
That sounds
Rudy might be
right.
a cannibal.
Rudy might be a cannibal.
But I
Can
love
just-
that there's that whole sequence. It is this like awesome. It's one of the first times we're seeing two full-blooded Viltrumites fight each other. That is just super awesome action. And then it is punctuated by Nolan going,
Yes.
"Come on, Mark. There's two more." And I'm
And it like
immediately just
hangs there.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Once again, having you like as a human being, I'm like, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. Like we almost just died, but no one's like, this is what Viltrum life is.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
you face death and you either die or you live. Like, and
Yep.
it's just what they do. This, oh my god, guys, this is scary. Like when Lucan came in and was just like finger on Mark, like I was literally scared. I'm like, the threat that they have. We talked about it with Alan, right? How there were the three of them there, and it just continues. Like
Yeah.
it is so consistently scary when these Viltrumites show up.
So yeah, like Wyatt said, Nolan says that we have 2 left to go, and then they fly off. Then we go back to Eve and Cannon, who are continuing to fight in the city. Eve is just fucking up Cannon. She's almost like enjoying it.
The moment she like catches the rubble,
says-
throws it at him, it launches him off the bridge. She catches him and then pulls him back and throws him like
Yeah,
being
great
really
fighting.
offensive.
I like that she says, shooting. I guess when your arm is a gun, you only have one trick. And he goes, it's a good trick.
Good trick.
No, Wyatt, what does he say?
Is it? It's a good
No,
trick.
I
Isn't
know-
that the
yeah,
line?
No, you have to do your impression.
It's a good trick.
There you go. There you go.
That was pretty good.
Listen, I had like an hour and 20 minutes of practice while we were playing that game, so it better be good.
Adam Eve is getting a little cocky. She ends up having a family drop off of the bridge into the water in their car. She beats Kilcannon and dives into the water. I love how she beats Kilcannon too. Like he's powering up his cannon, and then she uses her like the pink orb to like cement it to the street, and then it blows up in front of him. She dives into the water. She's able to save them from the water, but she's visibly shaken. She's begging the paramedics to help them.
Yeah.
Then we get Debbie. Debbie is at home. She's depressed, and it shows her adjust 2 wooden ducks on her coffee table.
So yeah, we didn't know what this was at first, but we saw them in an earlier episode, and I researched it to find out. I was just like Googling wooden ducks, bow, and whatever, and I saw that somebody had also found this and was posting
Why?
about it
I thought you-
online.
texted it to us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I sent the screenshot to you guys of somebody on Reddit had mentioned it too, that it is a like custom in a lot of like Korean marriages to be gifted to ducks that symbolizes like, you know, prosperity for the marriage and all of that. So it's tied to her marriage to Nolan. Like
Yeah.
it's a symbol of that.
When
One
we were
interesting thing-
watching the episode, I knew that they were showing it for a reason. Like it wasn't super prominent, but it was very clear that they were showing it for a reason. I thought it had to do with like cameras or something. So I almost liked that they were subtle enough not to explain it.
Oh, yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
more for
Well, one other thing is that they show in this scene her walk up and turn one of them. So another
Mhm.
part of the tradition is that they're facing each other when the marriage is in a state of happiness. But if they're having like a tiff or whatever, if they're having like an argument, it's tradition to like turn them,
Right.
face them away
Hmm.
from each other. So this scene starts with her walking up and turning one of them away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. So Art shows up. We get this is the first time we saw him all season.
I was
Yep.
gonna say, yeah.
Art shows up to check on Debbie. She opens up to Art, and they are able to relate to each other because Nolan was Art's friend as well. Debbie tells a story about teaching Mark to ride a bike because Nolan was never around. Art talks about how strong Debbie is, how Debbie is the real reason we're all still alive and not slaves. He says, you never needed him. You never did. Like he tells Debbie, like you said, like he was never around in the first place. You always just made it work.
He had it easy.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Debbie's
it's
the
so
one that's
true.
strong.
And it's such a, I feel like the reason this scene is so emotional when I was watching it is that through this whole first half of the season, we've talked about how like Debbie and Mark are just like broken and there's nothing that they can do to fix it. Debbie even gets to the support group and they turn her, like she's turned away. She never gets something to help her deal with this and
Right.
feel better about it. And finally, in this moment, Art is able to connect with her and be like, listen, yeah, all of this is terrible, but like, you're the reason we're all still alive. You
Yeah.
raising Mark and being in his life, like you should be proud of that. You should be happy about that. Like that's something that you can hold on to. And it's so like, it's such a good, it's not a conclusion to her arc throughout this season, but it's such a good, like finally getting
Yeah.
some sort of relief for Debbie is
Yeah.
amazing.
And especially, you know, where we see her at the end of this episode, like she is almost literally moving on. Like this is a major turning point. And I'm glad they did it in 4 episodes.
Mhm.
Not to say that it shouldn't take longer, but like it wasn't gratuitous in that like she's like in the comics, she's, you know, broken for a very long time. But seeing this and the way they handled it was great. Yeah.
Then we get Donald, who is back at the Pentagon, and he's carrying glasses that he found in the rubble. He pulls up the Grayson surveillance cameras from last season that they were, monitoring them. He sees himself get murdered by Omni-Man. He freaks out and he starts crying.
Did you find it interesting that he had Cecil's password?
Yeah, I thought that was a little like he just very casually knew it, like right off the get.
Like because
So-
it was he didn't have access to that footage, so he logged into
Mhm.
Cecil's account and found the footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting. It kind of just makes me feel like Donald is more capable than just Cecil's like right-hand man.
Yeah.
Like he's knows how to, probably knows Cecil may not even know that
He knows it.
Donald knows that password. You know what I mean? Like
Good point.
I could see that angle being brought up. But yeah, it was
Does
surprising.
Donald even know why he knows that
That'd be
password?
interesting too.
Like he's just processing information at a different level, and he doesn't
Maybe.
even like. That would have been kind of cool if
Cecil
if he did it
forgot
and he
to
was
take
like,
that off of the USB drive that he uploaded to Donald.
So back on Thraxa, Nolan shows up back at the colony to see that all of his people are dead. He gets angry and he grabs Mark. He says, "Why? Why do I care? Why do I feel this way? Why do I care about them? They were weak, short-lived beings. They shouldn't matter to me. I'm not supposed to feel this way. How is this better?"
"Fuck you,
and then,
Wyatt.
And then,
Fuck you, Wyatt."
and then
It's so good.
Mark says,
And
"This
he's
is
crying
how-"
too. He's like
Mark
tears are
says, "This is how you should have felt on Earth." And then you see like a moment that Nolan like reacts to him saying that.
It's a long moment
Oh.
too.
Yeah.
Like, they hold on that for so long, like Nolan
Mhm.
is visually like, you see all the
Shaken.
gears, like, he
Yeah.
can't process it. He's like, "How I should have felt on Earth is how I feel right now, but I shouldn't feel that way, but I do feel" like, you see him
Like, you almost
trying
get
to comprehend.
you look
Yeah.
around and you see all these dead Thraxans that he cared about, but then you look around Chicago and you see all these dead bodies that you caused. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's the same thing, but it only
And it does
cause is
such a good
different.
job of it does several things, I feel like. It number one shows us Nolan having that change of heart where he is having a different mindset about what kind of attitude he should have towards other living things. But it also, I feel like, really for the first time kind of establishes what Viltrumites kind of believe in, in their culture, in that, like, if you can kill somebody, they shouldn't have been alive
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
begin with, and if they're not strong, then they're worthless. And that kind of explains not only, even more so, who Nolan was on Earth and why he did everything that he did, but it explains as well the attitude of several more characters that we're going to meet, not
Yeah.
just in this episode but later on as well.
This is Nolan vocalizing his disdain for who he is, and like this,
Yep.
what he
Who's
vocalized
becoming.
to Mark is what he was thinking when he wanted to go into the black hole. He was like, I hate where I came from, but I also hate that I no longer am able to shut off this emotion.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so torn that dying is a better option than trying to balance this. And him vocalizing it is just, we've never seen Nolan hate his humanity before and be
Or lack of.
like envious of what he was as a Viltrumite, where he didn't have to have
Yeah.
these feelings. He didn't have this burden.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
he does
Easier
now.
to not care. It's
Yep.
easier
There's
to
a
not
lot
care.
to unpack here, guys. We could literally have an entire episode just talking about this, like what this emotion is that he's going through.
Yeah.
And
a
how
great
we'll never
episode.
experience it. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy.
So the other two Viltrumites show up, which I thought was interesting. There was a male and a female. The male was Bicor, and the
I took
female
it as
was
Vigor.
Is it V?
Vidor. It's
Yeah,
So we
Vidor.
I
all
think
heard
it's a
something
V.
different.
It's definitely V.
I think it is.
But is it Door
I think
or
it's
Door?
Vigor. I don't know.
It's
The
Door.
captions will tell us
I-
this week when we
no,
actually get to watch it on Amazon.
It should be at
No,
the
you're
end.
gonna
I'm
look
going to
now.
check right now.
It's Vidor.
Okay.
Because I was like,
But-
that's kind of like
And again,
80s.
it does sound
Like,
kind
he
of
has-
like a.
he has
It
a
sounds like a
visor.
Transformers villain
Yeah,
slightly.
so he has a visor, so obviously his name is Vidor.
But it to back to my point about like the Viltrumite culture, the way that he, like, they say, like, there's the Nolan that
Bill's right.
we know, and Nolan says, "Oh, it's Vidor."
It is Vidor.
Okay. The way that Nolan says, like, "I'll kill you for what you did to these people," and he just goes, "Then do it." Like,
Yeah.
he's like, if
Yeah.
you can do it,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
that would be
then
good.
I
if
deserve
you
to
can.
die.
Like,
Let's
ugh,
fight.
so good.
So yeah, like Wyatt said, Nolan takes Vidor and Mark takes Thula, which
Or Thula takes Mark.
was not in the comic. It was General Craig in the comic. So I thought that was kind of a cool change, and boy,
It wasn't.
did it pay off.
It wasn't Krieg in the comic either. It was someone that had a similar like Widow's Peak, but he
Yeah.
dies. And then there was
Yeah, but I took that as like Vidor or whatever.
but then
General
there's
Craig was in this fight
No,
in
he
the
wasn't.
comic.
No, he shows up at the end just like
I-
he does in this.
Yeah,
I
I'm pretty
sworn
sure.
he was in the fight.
Yeah, like I said, it's a guy that looks similar to him. He has a widow's peak and like a
He
pointed
does, yeah.
nose. But him and then a gray-haired guy and then Lucan. So the gray-haired guy
Yeah.
is kind of Thula in this case, and Vidor is kind of that Krieg-looking guy.
I'm really
Yeah.
curious as to. I don't want to. We won't skip ahead.
Yeah.
But this fight was
Yeah,
fucking
I mean,
awesome. Again,
Incredible.
Thula
I was
just
scared.
Thula just takes out Mark. Like she just
Yeah.
mops the
At
floor
one
with
point,
him.
she wraps her hair around his neck and like drags him down. Like, it's so good.
Yeah,
And she even says, like, because of who you are, because you're Nolan's son, I'll gift you a quick death.
Yep.
And then when she's about to kill him, she's like, "This is it. Just
Keep
this
my
is it."
promises.
And yep. Oh God.
So I literally had here like Thula beats the shit out of Mark. Nolan goes to Mark and tells Mark, stop fighting like you're on Earth. He tells him that you need to fight to kill.
That they will kill you.
Mark says, I'm not like that. And he's like, you need to fight like a Viltrumite. If he doesn't, then they will die, his brother will die, and so will everybody else on the planet.
So in order to save the people that he needs to save, he needs to be the person that he doesn't want to be. He wants,
which the last
Mark
few
is
episodes have been all about. I'm not my father. I'm not him.
I'm not my dad.
him.
I'm not a Viltrumite. I'm a human. I'm not a Viltrumite. I'm a human. Well, guess what, bro? It's not black and white. Life isn't like that. There's tons of gray here. There's tons of gray, and you have to be a Viltrumite.
So Mark continues to fight Thula, and he's still getting his ass kicked. But then there's a moment where you can tell he's like, "All right, I need to take Nolan's advice."
All the cuts.
And he starts changing his fighting style, and he starts beating Thula back. And then
Wait, is this where we get the comic?
And
right here.
No.
Okay.
Before we get
to say it.
Sorry, I keep cutting. No,
I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say.
What am I gonna say, TJ?
We get the theme song to the music.
Yes.
As soon as
we finally get the theme song to the music.
Right before the season started, one of our last episodes when we were talking about like what we hope to see, I said I want the theme music to be played more in the actual show, and to have that in the first time that Mark is really in a fight that is lethal to him, and have him start to win. Again, debatable on whether or not he won this fight, but to have his real like victory moment, have that music playing, so cool, so exciting.
It's like you said, it's something that Wyatt said that he wanted, and it was very much like that How to Train Your Dragon like score finally coming in and being like, oh, like there it is. It's so good.
Like grabbing her by the
guys, Riker watching this.
Yeah.
Like it made my heart swell. When Mark turned on, like Riker was like, "Oh my god!" Like it was just like you believe in this hero. Now you're like, okay, now I know why this show is about Mark.
Yeah,
like,
and I get it. This was the first time I think watching the show Mark that I remembered who Mark is going to be at the end of this series. And it was like, this is that Mark that we're seeing really start to succeed in a fight like this for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's so cool.
Yeah. I took it as you're starting to see that blue crack. You're starting to, like you guys said it before, he like Bill said, it's this person that he doesn't want to become, but you have to kind of become this person or else you're going to die in this fight. So you get that blue crack in the Invincible logo, and you're starting to get that blue suit out a little bit more. Just these little moments that are going to lead to that moment.
And you're getting to see that, like, he might get to a point where he thinks that is the right way to do things. Right. And you have to, be a little bit more aggressive.
Wyatt, you're a father, right? And
correct.
you have a father, right?
Correct.
And when you became a father, you were like, I'm not gonna be like my dad. I'm gonna do things different. And then you catch yourself, and you're like, oh fuck, I sound just like my dad. Like, and then you can kind of empathize with what it's like to be a parent, but also what it's like to be a kid. And that's where Mark is right now. Like he's empathizing with what his father means, what it's like to be a Viltrumite.
Yeah.
But also trying to balance that human act. And that's the problem. He doesn't commit fully when he needed to, which is why Thula got in that freaking.
We're not there yet, Bill.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
All right. That's all right. We're not canonical in how we talk.
So we get Mark is starting to fight back. We get them fighting like in tandem, Mark and Nolan. We get that like Peter Parker, Miles Morales fighting together. We get that 2-page spread call back to issue 29. So cool.
And just a cool way to show all the images
of the comic in the show.
To show all the images behind them in the background, make those the quick cuts, and it gets quicker and quicker, and it just keeps building and building, and we're like, what? And then it just kind of goes into it. It's like, so cool.
That was another thing just before we started watching this episode. I told you guys, like, I want this moment. Like, I want an homage in some way to this moment. Yeah. And the minute it started doing quick cuts, I was like, this is it. I was like, so I could tell we were going to get that shot of Nolan in the front. And, it's so good.
I wonder if your PP is going to have the same feeling. Your prediction partner?
Oh. Your PP? That's what you want with your PP?
He is called your PP.
I don't know if that's going to stick.
It's a lot better. Oh, the PP sticks.
Oh, it's going to stick. He's the PP forever.
Oh gosh.
Uh,
It's a lot better than an ACT.
Mark gets the best of Thula and has the opportunity to kill her, but he doesn't take it. He hesitates.
Mhm.
And he gets
then Bill?
He gets it. He
Go ahead.
gets the gut stab.
Thula takes the knife that's in her hair and just slowly slices into Mark's chest.
Gut.
More
so.
or
Gut.
whatever. It's
His
like
tummy?
it's like his
It's
like
pretty mid.
yeah.
Yeah.
Diaphragm?
Yeah.
So it's diaphragm
Yeah.
area. Right where the bones split. Okay, got it.
Mark is about to die and he calls out to Nolan for help. Nolan has Vidor
Did we talk
beaten,
about how he
crushing his head.
split his head vertically?
And how he's like holding it together still?
Yeah. and
He's
it's these
talking
two
to him
pieces.
while he's doing that
Yeah.
too.
Ugh.
And even Vidor, yeah, doesn't Vidor like try to like hold it?
After, like, think
together
like right after he
somehow,
does it, he goes to hold his head and it's like moving.
Ah,
Yeah.
So Nolan
Yeah.
is crushing his head. He
Ugh.
goes to save Mark, Nolan flies up, grabs her by the braid, yanks her in, and elbows her motherfucking jaw off. This was like one of the coolest parts of the
Yeah.
entire episode.
And so unexpected
good.
because it's so unexpected because Thula's not in this fight in the comic and she is in
Later
much
fights?
later storylines
Yeah.
that it was shocking to just see that happen.
die.
But immediately and not to like jump to predictions, she's coming back with a robot
Is
jaw.
she coming back
right?
with a
Like,
robot
we're gonna
jaw?
see
That would
her-
be cool.
She's coming back with a robot jaw.
she looked like she was dead.
I mean,
I thought
No,
she
I mean,
was
this-
They
dead.
all
she
kinda
falls
did, though.
down and she's like
Coughing.
coughing still
Yeah.
or like trying to breathe.
Yeah, she
still.
did cough
and
up
they
blood.
show up to take everybody right then. If she shows up with a robot jaw, I don't think anybody's gonna be like, "But I thought she died." Like
because like if
yeah.
Lucan can show up after what happened to him, I mean, a jaw,
Yeah.
I mean, that's you can
Yeah,
survive that.
Fuck your jaw.
However,
You can get
speaking
your
of-
jaw
If
ripped off.
this is the end of Thula and this is her iteration from the comic, bravo. I'm cool with that. She got a
Agreed.
Yeah,
great story.
agreed.
Like we've got plenty of other Viltrumites we can get to later instead of revisiting her. But Metal Jaw, sure, why not?
Speaking of which, Nolan goes to help up Mark and unexpectedly gets attacked from behind by Lucan. Holding his guts in his hand, he says, "Next time you kill somebody, make sure they're dead."
And the
and
sound
snaps his back, paralyzes Nolan. Nolan's back is broken.
Yep.
Come on, guys.
All of them lie lifeless on the ground. Then we cut back to Debbie and Cecil at the Grayson home. Cecil tells Debbie to rethink her decision to cut ties with the government. She doesn't want to take money from them. She's talking about the money that's coming in from Nolan's published work and how she wants it all donated to the Chicago survivors. So this is something I think we got like a quick tease in season 1 that Nolan is a published author.
Mhm.
So it shows her boxing up
And
a lot of his books.
And she even says to Cecil, I don't want your money for the books. You know, she calls out the books. And I love the moment where Cecil's like, you know, please reconsider this or, you know, I'll, you know, think this over. And she says, I won't or whatever. And then it just cuts and he disappears. Like no response. He's gone.
Yeah. She wants them all the money to go to the Chicago survivors.
She also mentions importantly that she doesn't want Mark or her to feel like they owe him something. Like that's how
I like how
he's controlling them.
I like how she put it too. She said like basically like I know your game. Like
Yeah.
you're paying us.
You don't get
feel like
anything-
we
Yeah.
do something, and I don't want to live my life like that.
Not
So
anymore.
and we get a little peek at one of his novels, and it's called Savage Planet, Savage Beasts. It has a picture on the cover of a Viltrumite looking alien astronaut thing, battling other aliens.
This is also when we see her take 2 gloves, right? The 2 baseball mitts.
Yeah, so Debbie says that she knows the money that they are taking from Cecil means that they owe him something. And she's done living that way, which we talked about. Cecil leaves. Debbie goes into the box to find Mark's baseball glove. So I'll call back to
So it
season
looks
1
like
there.
she picks up 1, but she puts 2 in the drawer. She saves 2 of the gloves, which is another like
Yeah.
She's moving on. She's selling the books.
Yep.
She's over it, but she keeps 2 gloves in the drawer.
I think
Yeah.
I
Maybe
like
more
that
for
as
Mark.
I like that as a partially that like maybe that's a memory that Mark wants to keep and it's not
Exactly.
her place to throw it out. But I also to the point of like her turning the ducks away and you researching that that's sometimes just like when things are not going well, not when a relationship is
Yeah.
over. Debbie heard everything that Nolan said on the recording when he fought Mark. She has not had her chance to respond to him yet.
Yeah.
I feel like she still feels like, we're not going to be together or whatever, but this isn't over. Like
I
he's
like
out
that.
there. She even says like, I can't move on because he's not dead. Like she says that to the guy from the support group last episode. And so it does feel like she's, moving on with her life and not going to stay stuck in this, but it's not finished
And
by any means with
like
her.
thanks to art, she has like found her strength. She is like,
Yeah.
I'm better than this. I am, good now, and she's going to start moving forward. But like you're saying, I like the idea of, and maybe it's because that is the part of Nolan, the part that is attached to Mark, that is the father that she's going to keep aside because it isn't finished. Interesting.
Yeah.
Back on Thraxa, Nolan is being taken away by the Viltrumites, and he's calling out to Mark. He's saying, please do not forget about all the good that I have done. And my books. Read my books. Then we get Debbie, who's putting Nolan's books out in front of the house with the trash. And we see another cover. The man with the invincible gun, who we know to be Space Racer.
Mm-hmm.
So that was
So cool.
super cool.
Awesome.
This was like we're really getting into the meat of Invincible now.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
other
we
book
are.
cover, isn't it Ragnar's?
Yeah, the savage,
Yeah.
savage
Yeah, the
planet,
Savage Dragon,
yeah, it's a bunch
Savage
of-
Beasts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bunch of Ragnar's. Yeah.
And
Go
you
ahead.
got the song for this whole
Yep.
montage.
Come on, bruh.
I got you.
I Am Yesterday by Zoe Bokebinder. I hope I'm saying that right.
I like
Bokebinder?
how it fits really well with this
it does.
scene, and it just has this like tone to it that's just, I don't know. It's hard to describe. Like obviously the other songs in this episode, and sometimes you get really pumped up songs, but this one is neither an exciting song or like a somber song. It's just kind of like a passing of
It's its own
time, like
piece. It's
a
really
moving
good, yeah.
forward type of chugging, and like people are learning and discovering things, and it's like it just fits so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the montage starts of I Am Yesterday by Zoe Bokebinder. And it starts with Amber texting Eve, who's on a bus, asking her if she's coming for brunch, and Eve ignores her. This feels like this is a deep cut here, but it feels like the season 2 finale of Buffy. Gotta throw that out there. She goes home, and Bill's favorite character in the world, Mr. Wilkins, opens up the door, and Eve walks in.
So the couple important things off of this: why is she taking a bus? Why show her on a bus? Because she's not using her powers. Why does she go home? Because the last thing her father said to her is, "Don't come home until you learn that
Right.
using your powers makes you dangerous."
Yep.
Yeah.
So right
I
now,
mean, everything that happened with the people on the bridge and the water,
This-
and like she's feeling it.
Yeah.
this is
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Wait. Whoa.
no, you
Wait
take a minute. But this is a moment that we never really explored in the comics, that Eve
Yeah.
is in a position now where she feels as though her powers like are that she is dangerous, that she doesn't feel comfortable
dangerous, yeah.
using them. And
Yeah.
we've never explored that before. So that's really interesting. And I think that this is going to be a sign of Eve learning something that will help Mark later on. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is her having a learning moment and kind of, learning,
In this
whereas Mark's kind of off planet and dealing with the brutality of everything and becoming
Yeah.
more violent. She is learning how, she's learning some responsibility and like and different things that she might become a voice of reason for Mark in the future, and showing these the early stages of her discovering this is really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I think more importantly, Mark will probably say like, "Wow, Eve, where did you come up with this insightful journey of you discovering this? Like, who taught you this?" And she's like, "Well, let me tell you who my mentor is, and
Let me introduce you to my father.
and let me introduce you to my father. And then once Mark gets a talking to, like he should.
I think, Ryan, to your point of Eve having to learn these lessons, it reminds me of that Debbie told Mark when she was sending him off to college, figure out who you are, not invincible, but figure out who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eve is doing that with herself right now, while Mark is having to deal with all of the craziness that he's being thrown into.
Yeah.
Eve is actually doing the work of figuring out who she is and what she should and shouldn't do with her powers,
Yeah.
which is cool.
The music and the montage are still rolling as Donald goes to the bathroom, checking himself in the mirror. He takes out a blade and he cuts open his forearm, and he bleeds out. He says, "Thank God."
All right.
He says, "Thank
Right.
God." He stares at the blade.
No, don't finish.
I'm
Okay.
stopping there.
As if the people watching don't know.
This scene, well, I mean, but it needs to. We need to stop here because this scene could have gone a lot of different cliched ways. Like he cuts his arm open and there's a robot there, or he cuts his arm open and there's blood and he's just a clone and he's not actually a robot. But like this did something that surprised even. Like I'm like, oh, so what is it? Like me watching the show, having read the comic book, him cutting, seeing blood. I'm like, what's going on? So he's not. He says, "Thank God." Looks a little bit closer. And the
And the
fucking
way-
tip, and the tip of the blade is dented, and it's
The
like
way he's looking at the blade and the music is swelling and the music is cut by Cecil being like, Donald, where the hell are you? There's a situation out here of just like, no,
Yeah.
go back to work. You can't deal with this right now. You got to go back to work.
Yeah.
Like,
And like you feel fine. And at first glance, you even skin deep, you are fine, but there's something wrong.
Ooh.
Ah,
Nice.
that's cool.
Nice, Ryan.
I'm gonna make it a prediction.
What's the
Can I throw a
situation, TJ?
This is more than what you're thinking, Ryan. Yeah, I think the situation has to do with the Lizard League and Rexplode, but I'm gonna go deeper. We
Oh.
didn't get any Guardians in this episode. Mark is fucked up right now. Nolan's been taken. I bet we don't even see them in episode 5.
We don't see Mark or Nolan?
If we do, it's going to be very quick. Maybe an end credit scene. No, end credit scenes. We got to be getting more. I bet episode 5 is going to be maybe some Angstrom, but it's going to be mostly Guardians. I think we're going to get
definitely some Angstrom.
I think we're going to get the Lizard League and the Guardians. And I think that's going to be the bigger thing. We didn't get them at all this episode, and the other ones they're all tied up. So
I think
and Alan, don't forget we have a lot of threads out there right now.
I think it'd be
well,
interesting.
Alan, go ahead.
I think it'd be interesting if it starts and it's like, all right, Guardian point of view because of, saying that we have the situation and everything like that. But it's also like the comics where you start the next issue and it's like months have passed on Thraxa. And like if we get to episode 5 after a month, 2 months, 3 months or whatever it is, and it's like everybody's waiting for the new episode and it starts and it's like, how much time has gone by? What's going on with Amber? What's going on? Because you're right. If that much time goes by, TJ, the situation is already over. So the situation might have just been a thing to get Donald to, snap out of it and move on. And the situation might not be a thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know where they're going to go with that.
Yep. So we'll see. But this episode isn't over. It cuts back to Mark. A Viltrumite hovers over him, who we know is General Krieg. He tells Mark that he just survived his first battle of proving himself worthy of his Viltrumite heritage.
which can we talk about who Krieg is voiced by?
Clancy
Because
Brown.
it was instantly recognizable that
Yeah.
it is Clancy Brown right away, which I was surprised by since he already was Damien Darkblood. And he's doing a bit of a voice for Damien Darkblood, but this is just feels like just classic Clancy Brown. And I was super excited that we'll get more of him in this show as we go forward if we never get more Damien Darkblood again.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want him to say one time, Invincible, my boy. Like Mr. Krabs.
No.
Invincible, me boy.
Jeez.
He tells Mark that his father will be executed and demands that Mark go to Earth to prepare it for the Viltrumite takeover. And if he doesn't, it will cost even more, millions of human lives to resist. And unlike your father, we do not change our minds.
We'll be checking in
I
on
love
yours.
it.
Doesn't he say like we'll be checking in?
Yeah. We'll be checking in soon.
Yeah.
Checking on your progress soon. And it's so perfectly sets up for like as much of a threat these Viltrumites were, next time Mark's not going to have his dad to help. And when they show up, there is no hope of a change of heart. There is no hope of like appealing to their emotions. It is just go time next time they show up. Like,
and it also shows more into the Viltrumite way of life and the way that they think is that like he gave him this ultimatum and he actually doesn't care which one Mark does.
Yeah.
He was like, you can either go. I'm not hoping that you go and conquer Earth for us. I'm just letting you know that is an option. But if you don't, this is the other option.
Yeah.
And either one is going to happen.
Yeah. So now Mark has to go back with all of this knowledge.
yeah.
What would you do?
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
love that
God.
it sets a ticking time bomb on the story. Like that was a thing that we kind of talked about with season 1 had the like, what's going on with Nolan? When's that reveal gonna happen of like what his true intentions are? And it created this tension. Now we just have that.
I hope they lean into
when
that
Mark
too.
goes back. Yeah,
Mhm.
totally. I hope that we continue to get reminders that like it's coming and they are coming.
And Mark is going to be like
so cool.
yelling at everybody like, this is coming. It's like the whole Thanos is coming thing. Like we can't stop this.
We should get a few reminders, maybe some characters that show up.
Yeah.
Then we get the credits, and that's it. But after the credits, we get the original Mauler that's bossing around the clone. He's like chastising his work. Oh, this is clearly the work of a clone, an inferior. The clone is referring to the original as King Mauler. The original is, again, just berating, talking down to the clone, and he takes a drink of the Bourguignon.
Nope,
and
that'd be lemonade. Bourguignon is a beef. Yeah,
he criticizes his Bourguignon as he's drinking the lemonade because he says, maybe the next clone will be able to make good lemonade. No wonder your Bourguignon is terrible.
Oh, was it lemonade?
Yes, he drinks lemonade.
I didn't know what it was. Fuck you guys. And he chokes to death.
I'm not laughing because you mixed that up. I'm laughing just at our inability to decide how to move forward, where we're all just standing here staring at the camera being like, how do we wait, what? We're all just confused in the moment. It was very funny to me.
He chokes to death. The clone poisoned it. And he says, sometimes things are the way they are for a good fucking reason.
Yeah.
We get Run
Another
the Jewels,
F-bomb.
The Ground Below.
Which is
And
the
credits.
first time we get a repeat song. You know, I'm glad we got Run the Jewels with the Maulers. Would have been cool to have a new song with them. But yeah, this is this is the song that played in episode 5 or no, episode 6 maybe. It's when they're fighting Rudy after and Robot.
Yeah.
When they're running around doing that. But yeah.
Yeah.
To your point,
And that
Ryan,
is...
this is another part that kind of takes me out of like we get all of what we got,
And then that
like,
after credit scene, which is
and then that after credit scene.
again,
I would have
all the Maulers throughout this whole episode. Love it. Love that little story arc. I mean, I think that because we need to see more Maulers, because what I'm hoping is going to happen in the second half of the season, which would be crazy if that happens. However, it does feel a little, you know,
shoehorn.
It's not as big as everything else
but
that
again,
it feels like has been
if you
happening.
were watching the next episode right now because you binged it, because you know episode 5 is out now, for the rest of the time it's not going to matter. But because we now go into a break, it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
So I'll say this now, and we'll
Mauler's
talk
gonna
about
Mauler.
it more on our next episode, where we're going to kind of do a culmination of the 4 episodes. But I almost kind of hope we don't really see Angstrom again. I think it would be cool if Mark got a call and you forget Angstrom Levy even existed, and then he travels home and you're like, who the fuck is on the phone?
Yeah, that'd be
And
pretty
he
cool.
crashes through the door and he's sitting
are
there
you?
with Debbie and Oliver. So that would be insane. So yeah, we'll see. That is the end of season 2 part 1. Again, if season 2 part 2 was announced, we don't know about it yet, so tune into our next episode where we'll talk more about it. But now let's get to some doodles.
So we have gone.
Oh, I forgot about her.
We have gone 3 episodes without any repeats. The closest repeat was Bill and I both drawing Alan's fight scene, but never an exact repeat.
Well, I know what Ryan drew. Like, it's not even a question in my mind.
Did you see it?
No.
Oh, it was sitting right behind you guys when we were playing Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
I
I
forgot.
swear to God, I
Really?
didn't notice.
I forgot
I
until
swear to God, I
afterward.
didn't notice.
I think that if anyone's gonna draw the same thing, it's gonna be Wyatt and TJ.
Ooh.
I would
think
think
it's
Wyatt
think
and
it's
Ryan.
I think it's me and Wyatt.
Yes, I agree.
Hmm.
But
Or me
I'm
and
I'll go
not.
first.
But
Me and Bill.
like, I think it's possible that Ryan and Wyatt drew the same thing, but I'm like pretty sure I know what Ryan drew.
I'm gonna go first
I
because
want TJ to guess.
obviously, well, I almost jokingly was just like, "Here's my doodle," and show my tattoo of the black hole. I thought about drawing the black hole. I didn't.
I thought
because I already
honestly,
have
Wyatt,
a
I thought
tattoo.
it would be funny if you just like drew on your arm like a little Omni-Man in front of the black hole.
Oh yeah.
Okay, because we're talking about the episode, I will reveal I have a tattoo appointment this Saturday where I'm gonna go get a little Omni-Man silhouette added to like the outside of this.
No, you
No
And
don't.
way.
Is that a
it will
joke?
look like it will look like a little apostrophe. Basically, it's gonna be tiny, but to me, I'll know what it is.
Are you
to
really?
like add onto my tattoo? Yes, we have. I was honestly, I tried to book an appointment before this, so there would be like a surprise. I'm getting it
That's
this
so
Saturday.
cool.
That's
for sure.
amazing.
But I did not draw the black hole. I drew the scene that I talked about a little bit earlier, which was the face-off
Ooh.
Nice.
between the two of them.
Very
Mark was a
cool.
little too tall, but I didn't want to redraw the whole thing. So there you go.
That's great.
Look at Mark's collarbone.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
TJ, what did I draw?
I feel like you had to have drawn the ducks.
No, that's a
No.
good
No,
idea.
I
though.
Oh, that
I
would
thought
be a
for
good
sure
one.
you were gonna be. I thought for
No.
sure you were gonna draw the ducks. I
The
would have put
fact
money
that-
on it. I would have bet money.
The fact that Ryan, you thought that you and Wyatt drew the same thing,
Yeah.
and I thought I knew what Wyatt drew. I think I know what you drew.
Okay, what is it?
And but I also think it was TJ. I think if anything, you used a purple fucking marker and you drew Oliver.
I did not.
No? Okay.
However, I did draw completely and used a little bit of red and drew a pretty good looking bent knife. But I erased
Nice.
it and drew this one instead because I just couldn't get it out of my head.
Oh, so good.
So yeah,
Yeah.
just a little
Awesome.
Omni-Man
Very good.
flying across the screen.
Just flying through space.
Yeah.
Yep. Bill,
Good job. Oh, you want me to go next? All right. Mine's a two-parter.
A
You
two-parter.
guys can get
Two-parter.
Let me try to cover this. I don't know if I can cover it up. I don't think I can. So
that looks a
we
lot
got-
like my drawing from episode 2
It does.
with
do you know what it is though?
Darkwing. Is it Thula?
It's Thula. I can see the knife hair. Yeah.
Okay.
Collarbone.
So I drew a collarbone. But it's also the moment when Mark turned on,
Nice.
and he turned on his Viltrumiteness, and it's the thwap when he fucking blocks it, and he
Yeah.
Awesome.
There you
Well
go.
done. Great collarbone.
Thanks. I don't know how to put it on a human, but it's there.
Yeah. One step at a time.
TJ, what you got? Why do I feel?
Yes. Oh
Nice.
my God. That's so
Wow, TJ.
oh, thanks.
good. The filled in the
Wow.
red background and
It-
everything,
beca-
multiple
it's-
colors.
It's
see
the
the
pink
two?
marker because Thraxa is very pink.
yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
got the two guys in the background there waiting for
Are
me.
you
That's
gonna
that's my favorite of your doodles. So
Oh,
Yeah,
far.
thank
really good.
you.
That's the best one.
That
yet.
is the best
The tears.
doodle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tears, the eyebrow. I love how stiff the eyebrow
Yeah.
is. The jawline. Good job,
Yeah,
TJ.
good job.
Thank you.
And I hate saying that.
Appreciate it.
Speaking about the colors, about how Thrax is very pink, this isn't something we brought up before, but did you guys notice that just like colors in general on Thraxa were slightly different? Like if you look at the blue in Mark's costume, it's a little darker than how it looks on Earth,
Mm.
and I liked that detail. Just it made it feel like a different environment, made it feel
I think
more
I think
alien.
everything looked a little bit more pastel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
That's
cool that you mentioned that. And I'm gonna scramble to find the artist now, but the colorist, follow him on Twitter, but he was the colorist during the Allen scenes, especially the flashback scenes and seeing the Unopens and everything like that. And he pointed out that the Viltrumites are yellow, like their outfits and costumes on that planet are like a golden yellow kind of color because it's just
Yeah.
the atmosphere is that different color, the light is that different color.
Yeah.
But you read it, like you see it, and it doesn't look weird. It's white, but it's actually yellow. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I found the artist. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nick Nazaro. Nick Nazaro.
very cool.
But yeah.
Indeed. So, I
Wow.
guess that does it for our deep dive episodes of season 2, part 1. So we don't know when we'll be back with the further recaps, but keep an eye out for us. But there's going to be so many things in
Still a
between.
lot more
So many
Invincible.
things. So I mean, can we say like what we got coming up?
We don't know
I
for
think we
sure if
can
that's going to
say.
be able to be on that episode, but next episode will be a good one.
We know it's coming though, in
Oh,
some
yeah.
capacity.
Oh yeah, we could say that. We had a chance to sit down with Simon Rasiopa. We got to chat with him, and that is either going to be going live as part of our next episode or it'll be separate. But the plan is for it to be part of our next episode. So we had a great chat with him.
Again, hit subscribe on our YouTube. And we got some other cool things coming out too, very soon. So yeah, we'll keep an eye out for that.
Some more streams.
Like we said, Wyatt's going to be doing more streaming with his wife Nicole of the Adam Eve video game. So
apparently we might be jumping in some Fortnite. That could be fun.
Oh yeah. How did I forget to bring up Fortnite? We have Fortnite coming up. So that was officially announced. I think
still don't think it's official. It's just another leak
No?
that it's going to be this Friday. Invincible Friday will be when it goes into the store.
Oh,
But
is that still considered a leak? But
it's
I mean,
it's all but confirmed.
Yeah.
So if you are listening to this episode, actually, it should
We
be
got this far.
if the rumors are true, which I'm pretty sure they are. It should be up on Fortnite now, unless you missed it, because typically they're only up on the store for a certain amount of time. So check it out. Go buy all the Adam Eve, Invincible, and Omni-Man skins, so you can have them forever and play.
I don't think it's very fair that like every video game that we play, I'm really bad at. So people like I love video games
No,
and I
you
play a fuck
Play
ton of video
so many
games.
video games.
I play more
do.
video games than probably anybody else here.
Honestly,
and yet every
Fortnite is
single
so
one-
basic, Bill. I think you'd be
But it's
fine.
time,
I think you'd
too.
be
Fall
great.
Guys.
I think you'd be good
fucking
at it.
Mortal Kombat.
Fall Guys,
Invincible,
I get.
or this.
Fall Guys is
Fall Guys is a bitch.
Yeah.
Mitch Krasen is the only person who's good at Fall Guys.
Only
Let's
person
just
in
say
life.
that. There's no one else.
No one else.
Like he's
Let's
playing
stream-
Fall Guys right now, and as he's listening to this episode, he's also playing Fall Guys like in the background. Like he's playing Fall Guys.
Bill's like, let's
here's the
stream
thing.
Metal Gear Solid 2, please. Like,
Oh, I'm
know.
in. Let's do it.
I'll do one better. And you know what? We can do a pizza bet. We can make it a big fucking thing. Let's do Arkham Asylum challenge room where it's just a combat challenge, and let's see how high I can get my combo. Because I could rock that shit.
Tell you what, Bill, if we play Fortnite and you don't get a win, then we'll schedule that stream right afterwards to like boost your confidence.
There we
Be
go.
like, no. Listen, let me show you my skills.
And if you do get a win in Fortnite, then you have to face Wyatt as Omni-Man and just get completely wrecked to bring you back down to earth.
That's right. So that does it. We will be back. It should be next week, and we won't be long. So keep an eye out there. Subscribe. Email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com with your thoughts on episode 4, as well as your
And
doodles. And
Yep. And please, for the love of God, www.theinvinciblepodcast.com. Go check it out. Check out the new updates from last time. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Fun videos.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Like just last week, I was upstairs brushing my teeth in my bedroom, which is like on the opposite side of the house and upstairs, and I heard Remy go like from like downstairs, and I was like, "What?" And I stopped. She's like, "I opened the front door." So I was like, "Yay, you did it!"
You're like, it's one less thing that I have to do
Yeah.
for
You're,
other
now,
people.
you're officially as talented as a velociraptor.
Clever girl. Clever girl.